evening and welcome to today's news review.
Mamos media. Atelena modobe alafuna mo. Nene Badjan sangarango oh nene. Afana be Oslo de no engodia.
Thank you, listeners. You live on Mamos Radio. I'm your host, Rohi Konetige, proudly sponsored by Unique Energy in the Gambia. Please stay tuned. Good evening and welcome to today's news review. You live on Mamos Radio. I'm your host, Rohi Konetige.
Welcome to Gambia Today News Review. Listeners, you're tuned into Mamos Radio on Mamos Media. It is Friday, 25th of December 2020. I am NENEH with a review of the nation's top headlines coming to you live from Oslo, Norway. Today's news headlines: Sukuta Nema gets new mosque and madrasa. Germany to deport another 20. Soma Darussalam hit by water shortage. And Katong resident tasks Gambians to scrutinize presidential aspirants before electing them. Listeners, let's review these national headlines in more detail, beginning with the Mamos Media article, Sukuta Nema gets new mosque and madrasa. Haji Silla, a native of Sabi village in the Upper River region URR, on Wednesday laid the foundation stone for the construction of a mosque and madrasa at Sukuta Nema in West Coast region. Speaking to Mamos Media, Silla said the initiative is in collaboration with philanthropic partners with the view to help people of Sukuta gain access to quality Islamic quality education. He further underscored the significance of Islamic education as a vital tool for societal development. Quote, "Our mission into this world is to know the teachings of Islam. One cannot know the teachings of Islam without learning it through school. You cannot stand on the road and ask people about the religion. One has to acquire Islamic education through its teachings and moral obligations. We are calling on through Islamic teachings upon the completion of the project," unquote, he remarked. Listeners, the Standard has captioned for us today, Germany to deport another 20. German authorities are planning another mass deportation of Gambian migrants a month following the extradition of an earlier batch from the West European country, sources have disclosed. The new deportees were expected in the country last Tuesday, but their flight was delayed after they failed to secure a landing permit in the Gambia. Quote, "The deportation is going to happen just like the last one last month," unquote, our source said. Contacted to shed some light on the development, German-based activist Yaya Sonko stated, quote, "According to what I gathered, the German government requested for a landing permit for 22nd of December 2020, but due to the Gambia government's negligence of not replying early, it couldn't happen. The Banjul authorities then reportedly gave a clumsy excuse that President Barrow, who was to sign the landing request papers, was not in the State House," unquote. Listeners, The Point has headline for us, Soma Darussalam hit by water shortage. Soma Darussalam on the area of Jara Soma the provincial capital of the Lower River Region LRR, is currently facing acute water shortage. The area has been without clean and potable water for the past 7 months, according to dwellers. Inhabitants of the area, mostly women, are forced sometimes to go up to Njie oil petrol station, a distance of almost 2 kilometers, with donkey carts to get clean and potable drinking water. Our reporter, who was on a tour with President Adama Barrow, visited the community to monitor the situation. Listeners, the Fourier has captioned for us today: Khartoum residents tasks Gambians to scrutinize presidential aspirants before electing them. A resident of Khartoum village has tasked Gambians to scrutinize presidential aspirants before giving them the mantle to lead this country. Dembo B. Mane, who was speaking on Saturday during the conclusion of a 6-day awareness campaign organized by the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, said Gambians ought to question the eligibility of people running for presidency before electing them into office. Quote, someone will come from nowhere without any political background, neither did they develop their community and say, I want to run for presidency. What have people benefited from that person, especially his community, where they hailed, unquote, he asked. NCC organized the massive awareness campaign in collaboration with the Association of Non-Governmental Organizations, TANGO, and it was supported by the United Nations Democracy Fund, UNDEF, under the topic Democratic Governments, Civil Rights and Duties of Citizens, unquote. Listeners, wish you all a Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year.
Thank you, NENEH, for today's news review. Listeners, you live on Mamos Radio. Please stay. Thank you, listeners. You live on Mamos Radio. I'm your host, Rohi Konetige, proudly sponsored by Unique Energy in the Gambia. Please stay tuned.
Assalamu alaikum badimulu.
We'll be back with the Mandinka news with Lamin Marong.
Assalamu alaikum badimulu. Bali konton na tolu na konton di mala anal badima Lamin Marong dol ka Kiang Mansa mfelen dunta. Albela moy kan Mamos la ready bumbala kontalta ka kibaro me futandalma bi janinga ke fonsi molu tentu anin ka fulu meni ya lonko kan sembentu ya wato bela e gol kono tri kamba fule ala barka bake albedu ku kendo menna ni watolu anin na fan club wal foundation me Gambia be tentu la bake la duku lalu anin Mamos la duku la me Gambia anin Gambia bante lambe be tentu lambe jayila be duku kendo nyemmenna se menke dron ngadon kibaro kono ba janin ko ke fonsi kibaro nyina kibaro ko folo dialda nin tumola ko sugura nema ye jaman kudo soto ani be karamolo kan me yalo ko purasi jama nafano nyamen ke bar flanyango ni watulu ko Gambia no lu men yalo ko nyanta ke sende jamani men tada fo momwan ni watulu bolel parende kan pour ke sende nan Gambia iko sonan soma ela Dar Salam iko giko e batande bakle e bayin tembo nyimena anun iko katon fanan e meeting bake e kamoli yamare kaje ko si korosiroke ni lefta ka motomba menya non ko lefta pra e Gambia mara bado ngina mu kibaro ko ngoti semen kadon adun kibaro nyim fongo ko ngoto ni watolu ko wafala menketa sukuta nema ko ye jaman kuto men nuneta anin jamonyin abe karamunyin sotlale prusi jama nafano nyamen anin kekendo ka me haji silla atemo sabiji dingo nyineti me alon ko abe upper irrigation ma fongola membe URR ko nyin araba tambila ye berola ko ikana jamon mello anin jamonyin be karamunyin sotla me alon ka be kala madra sotle menkela sukuta nema West Coast la tundo nyinno kibar tala nyin menketa nyin aji silla ani Mamos la kibar tala lo nyi kachake ko iaje ko ko membe nyin koma waran dalilo membe sabatring waran be sunding pruka nyin jamon waran kayin karamo nyi lo aketa moleti me ya lonko kekendo balu menketa surahata jawarati ana doku nyolu anu anin kafome e blodi nyola me ya lonko ifanan lota drong pruka hanama dungona nyanto ka fasa nyamen wolel nata mireke kajo ko ilafta lafta pour que jaman wara madraso londi Gambia pour que nafake na fondinkelula mene ya lon ko lafta pour que londi islamola anam pour que e famma ko no nyame isi famma koy ni nakada sababoti pour que nyin dokuba pour que fotande na Gambia ni araba tambila inata nune roke pour ka lo roke jama nyinna waran ka karamo nyimme ya lonko ya hame pour jama membe sukura la intundo to ana nanelu pour ibesi muna fanyinto pour ka ila balwo nyinka batandi nyame an pour ka londo nyin fanandila a continent aya fanan ko fanan e ko nyin keta akumayata bake pour no mo lafta ka islam waran pour ka dino long an nyimbe kala fenede faname ya lonko asitol fond mano pour si balu kendo so nyame e ko la hamu momenti pour que mulu karandi ka dino long anun ka jafanan ko ni lafta ka londir soto no koto ware lafta ka londir soto fo mari dula soto ware karam soto mi ya lonko isi karam keno je anu nyin keda dalilo ti waran sababoti men ya lonko lafta pour ka nyin karam nyi londi ni nake ita mari la balwo nyin sone andi anu aketa mari fana londi no fenna mi ya lonko isi fanna fano nyame kandu ni lafta ka koku ke ni dunya kono foisa londo soto anu ka islam karam ke ni mukuta mi ya lonko akuma ya batale pour ka balu kendo soto anu ka balu no i tarola kibar bunda men safe wala mo Mamos la mediati mbadu kibar don bono me ko nyin tembola jamani la Mansa kunda ye parendirke pour ka molu saindi me ya lonko abita fo Gambian muang me ya lonko be jamani ni watolo e ko la Mansa kunda ye parendirke pour ka nyi molu fanan saindi ko haklo ba kan ko e modolel saindi nun watu kuntu nin kodo nyi fanan mus flef la nyangolti pour ka e woke kodake e ko bari ina rakacha nyinke me ya lonko ya hamenun ko nyi mol me leftake saindi anyanta ka nyin talata tambilalun bari ye safiro ke Gambia Mansa kunda e polisi pamito di la pokurunti la nyanda kaji Gambia nyamen bari manna pamito nyin soto e be tembo nyin menna anu meke baro nyi ke moto koyle me ya lonko afanamu balanna lalti anin ka washing itandi ko kulni me betama kan amanta kan silola ana manya nakake wol kono e kafme yaya sonko ni fana mu doku la balati membe dende luntaw la nyanto la nyin tundoro ay nyim banke ako jamani la Mansa kunda e safaro ke Gambia la Mansa kunda ele polisi pamito di la pour kulinti la nyin sigino nyamen mi ala nyanta kalen December karo telmuang anim fula e ko bar biko kantung Gambia Mansa kunda manne jabi no hani sain ina yatina hani sain kulinti la nyin dileta awara mon futano Gambia nyin tembo nyinno bar bidina da ko nyin noma e ko memfu e kibaro men soto kabona banjul wala muko iko president baro menyanda ka saino ke ka joko kulinti la nyin alawta le pura ji Gambia banko nyin kan iko president baro nyin mantra state house nyin tembo nyinna wala atina kulinti la nyin manna no kibar bunda mendi wala mo standard la news be bade iko soma Daru Salam wol fanan iko nyi wato jiko ye batandi bakele iko nyi betundol de me yalon ko abe jaro somale me yalon ko o central banko o central satel membo tundolo atanamo la capitalo nyinto iko barin tembo nyinto jiko ye batandi bakele pour ka jisen mo soto kemin aka koleabu bakle sain menda da fo kar warula nyong iko ben monu be sabata nyin tundola anu ni nata fana men montora bake wala no musolu e katama pour kata ja oil me yalon ko atara fo kilometer fula jani ka futa je pour ka jieta anu pour kata ka jieta wada fanan e ka fal sareto lelta pour ka jebi no jami alon ko isi ifon la hajulu wara sila kulu topono nyame eko bari nyin kono ke ba tala fanan mi yalon ko anin president Adama Barrow be nyin to nyin menna o fotata yun blato pour ka ko nyin ka korsa fonwe pour ka je fo kulem fo kusoto nem afanana da ko nyin sabentu ya ako kule me yalon ko asotata anabi batande kam bake nyin tembo nyinna kibar bunda me kibaro nyin safe wala mo point la news paper te iko fanan katon ila banko sate dingolu wol fanan nata wosi dañi tandi iko molu nyanda ka korosiri bake ni molu nate kan ilafta pour ka lo president ya candidate la molu nyanda pour ke mari wol korosi bake ani yanyi meeting ba nyinke nyin tembola ko ila tundo nyinto iko molu nyanta pour ka ila molu men kan e kan ka fo ilafta ka ke president candidate nyanda ki mari teme pour ke suman ka joko hamolu membe la pour ke londi fo mole me ya ko nyanta pour que mari pour que la carte dilal bo fo hani anu wol kono men keda dembo bi maneti ni media mo ke ni sibiti tambela me ya lon ko ila bemba ni kumfa dula me ya lon ko ayata til woro nyina pour ka molu karandi anin ke haklo blandi ka itandi ko ila nyanto mumenti anu nyanta ke la nyanto lon nyaadi le anu nyanta pour ke la nyanto kanta nyaadi le ni nata komen ka ni nata kulme be danni fu banko do ko nyinna ako in temboto mulka fintine kana me ya lon ko ibuke bodula fangolon ani bukalon e beloro mun lobun sinna kan e kana ron e ko lafta ka president candidate oti yela carte dina ayate temari malon munne mutari bulu andu ite ya lon ne ko itebe in de momento nyunu metolon fanko be jele en manela sate wonyin ka de ma fenna moy bonan wotron ayna ko lafta pour ngake president candidate ro pour carte diala ako nyimo kute me ya lonko molu nyanda pour que mari wol kisi baake kaji be te lotam mu lonkam bulle kan anila hamom muneto nina da pour ka sate doko ke waranka banko do keke ako tambita wala la sain moyene dron ako ko lafte carte fanya anete te ma lonko ite latine be bu sabat letu tolvo wara to lafta ke de tine nyaade anite se munne soto no men se keno ite tineti wara la sate nyindo ako nyimo kute me ya lonko akuma ya batale pour momo ne atra monate kan pour que ñinin ka fenna andi tamari la nyanto menti imam pare pour ko fasa ñin keta kuto me yalon ko aketa mitim balati pour ka mulu karandi waranke hakilo blandi ka itandi ko ila nyantol mu fennete me yalon ko e nyanta kalo wala ani wol kono inin kafu ba men e blodi nyola ka du ko ke ñin mu association of non government anun tango ñin be mu kafuleti ani united nation democracy fund ñin be mu kafuleti me yalon ko wulali mitim ba ñin sembentu ya pour ka mulu karandi ka joko itamari la nyanto muneti banko kan waran ila mari la nyanto muneti masakunda kono ninata pour que sembentuya pour la badwo ni sosone año kibar bunda men safe wala mu fore la newspaper de badu ñu dem kibarote min frata may tamen ka futa dalma na beta ko man solo no la ninga fa mafu kun sounda al salona hadama di ana sonda malam wal nal badi malam min maron dol ka kiyam ma samba fla nimbara fo nyatondo.
Thank you, listeners. You live on Mamos Radio. I'm your host, Rohi. Thank you, listeners. That was the end of tonight's news review from the Mamos team. To my co-host, NENEH, Sainabou, Honorable Pa Assan Badjan, BEM, CEO Lamin Marong, known as Kiang Mansa. I'm your host, Rohi Konatege, to our Mamos technician, Lennox Assan, and Mr. Boridabo, our country director and marketing manager in the Gambia. Also to our Mamos news desk, chief editor, Mr. Suleiman Dabo, news editor, Lamin Sanyang, Mamos reporters on tonight's news review, Usman Marong and ML Bojang. Special thank you to the NENEH Fans Club. Thank you, listeners, once again. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. GMT. On that note, we say good night and bye.
Mamos.